This is the Minnesota Youth Alive podcast, where we talk about empowering the church to reach students at their school and in their community. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Welcome to the Minnesota Youth Alive podcast. This week we've got Kelly as our questionee, and I am your host, Andrew Norris.
Yes, Andy. Okay. For all the students out there who are wondering, who is this guy with the beard, with the full facial hair, okay? Tell us a little bit about who Andy Norris is, because you're a familiar face to Youth Alive. So.
Yep. I do lights with Youth Alive, and then I am working with social media and just some extra tech stuff, website things with Youth Alive.
Yeah, so when you say lights, you mean school assemblies, school tours.
School assemblies.
Camp.
Yep, camp.
Yes, conferences. All over the place.
NYC stuff. Yeah.
And what's your little side business? Tell us a little bit about your...
Have a little coffee business, a coffee cart, where I go to weddings and just make a bunch of coffee drinks for people at weddings and events.
And it's called?
It's called Fold Coffee.
Fold Coffee. Okay, I got to get a little plug in there for you.
Yeah, that's good.
Because, we got a lot of coffee drinkers who are listening.
Yep.
So Andy's going to be running our podcast today. I'm really excited about this. Are you excited?
Very excited, yeah.
Okay, let's have fun. Let's have fun today. I got to ask you one random question before we begin. Are you ready? What is your coffee of choice?
It depends on the season, but probably a miel, which is just a latte with honey in it. It kind of reminds me of Cheerios. So
seriously,
it's almost nostalgic to drink. Yeah.
A miel?
A miel, yeah. So we're going to be talking about See You at the Pole. What is See You at the Pole? Yeah.
Okay. So See You at the Pole, it originated down in Texas with some students just saying, hey, let's do something awesome. They were at like a conference, a weekend experience. And so they're like, let's do something. They felt called to go pray for their schools, and they went and prayed for their schools. And ever since that, it's grown over 20 plus years into See You at the Pole, where it's all over the world. And it happens on the fourth Wednesday of every single September. And so kids gather at their flagpoles. It usually happens on a Wednesday, usually in the morning, but it's actually the whole entire week. So if students are homeschooled, if they're online, if they are part of a co-op or something else and they don't meet on Wednesdays, you can do it any day of the week. We have a school local to me that has a late start on a Wednesday. And so for them, kids are thinking, let's sleep in, right? So I don't know if Wednesday is the best thing for them, so maybe they'll change it to like Tuesday or Thursday. Right. But what See You at the Pole is students gather on their pole and they just pray for God to just move at their school, for safety, for administration, for principals, for students. It's a really cool thing where students just gather together. It's all student-led, which is really amazing that students are taking the initiative to organize it and get it ready to go, promote it, and actually do it at their schools. Yeah.
What would happen if it rains and they're trying to meet at their pole right outside their school on Sunday?
Just stand there. Let it rain. Let it rain.
Pray in the rain.
Pray in the rain.
Start worshiping.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times it's happening before school hours. So it's great to have an alternative. That's a great question to ask, because whether that's like a classroom, a gymnasium, it's good to have that second option of just a location that they can meet, that just in case it does rain. Because let's be honest, no one wants to stand in the rain, right?
Yeah.
So just finding that second location of a gym, a classroom. If you talk to a teacher, there's a lot of teachers that will just say, yeah, you can use my classroom and just meet in there this morning. So it's good to have that notified, ready to go.
In their promo content.
In their promo, yeah. Yep, that's good. That's a good question.
Awesome. How should they promote it?
We at Youth Alive, we have a lot of little flyers that we can definitely hand out to anyone. We have hundreds of them. So if you're like, hey, I just want some printed promo that I would just want to hand out to people just to give them the dates and the information, we can give you those. So if you just hop on any of our social media or check out any of our emails on the app or whatever, we can mail those to you, get you some of those. But otherwise, personally inviting people, I highly recommend that. Just going up and asking people. And I don't know, Andy, you did see you at the poll at your school. But I think there's something cool about just going up and asking an individual and saying, hey, I'd love to have you there that morning, and just come with me. But also there's social media, hop on your social media, promote it, whether you have a campus club or an FCA that you're a part of, a Youth Alive, and promote it from there, promote it at youth groups. I really love it when like youth pastors connect with other youth pastors and they say, hey, I've got a student at our school that's doing See You at the Poll. Here's the time, here's the date, here's the location. Spread it out, let the information know in your youth group, in your churches, and then that way it's getting to a lot more people than just Andy, sharing it. And so that's a good way to do it. But I think that's a good way to get around and get the communication out there. There's also like school announcements. There's usually like a poster board that clubs and things can post to too.
In school.
Okay.
Cool. What happens if they were trying to work with their principal at starting this event and they have pushback from their principal?
Yeah.
What do they got to do?
Yeah. So last year, actually, we were working with a youth pastor and some students at a school here in Minnesota. And initially there was some pushback of like, hey, this isn't allowed. Or actually we're not going to allow this to happen. And it kind of came to the point of understanding the time, understanding the location, and understanding the purpose of it. And so what I would say is for any student it's great if you're at a high school, at a middle school, wherever you are, if you're at a public school, even a Christian school, it's good to just go in to the principal and say, hey, this is what we're going to be doing on this day. It's a thing that happens across the nation. We just want to let you know we meet at the flagpole at this time, and we're going to be praying for unity in our schools. We're going to be praying for students to have a great year, a positive year, that everyone feels welcome, that everyone feels accepted. Those are all positive things. So when you go in and meet with your principal, which I recommend that you guys do that, have an idea of here's the basic information. Here's our plan. Here's some of the things we're going to be praying for. And then I love this, is sitting down and asking your principal, your superintendent, saying, is there something that we can pray for as we gather around the poll? Yeah. And what can we do to make this a great year for you as a principal, as an administrative person? What are some prayer requests? And we want to make this a great year for every single person. And when you come with that kind of attitude, it's hard to fight back.
Right.
So we had it where in one situation this last year, we had a youth pastor and some students who were planning it. There was a little bit of pushback. They got it figured out where they're going to meet. The principal was okay with that. And then one of the youth leaders who also worked at the school said, hey, I want to attend this. And when the administration found out about that, they said, no, you can't attend this event because you're a part of the school staff. And after like looking through stuff and figuring things out, the person went in and said, hey, just to let you know, it's before my hours of being on staff here at the school. So I'm not on my staff time, so I can be there during this time. So it's just working through some of those details. Yeah. So if you're like a youth leader, a youth pastor, or just a person who wants to support those students as a teacher, you can go and be a part of it, just as long as it's not a part of your staff hours. That is a right that you have. Another pushback that another youth pastor got was they were around the poll. They have great relationship with their principal and with the school, and the principal wasn't notified that it was happening that morning. And so she saw what was going on, and she got pretty mad and walked out and was like, what's going on here? And so as soon as she connected with the youth pastor, she's like, oh, this is what's happening. So that's why if you're getting some of that pushback, the communication is really, really huge. Yeah. So whether you've done this for 10, 15 years at your school and you know it's happened forever, it's good to go in, have that conversation, say, hey, this is what's happening. Here's the date. Here's the time. Is there any questions you have? This is what we're going to be praying for. And then what can we pray for that you would like us to pray about for the school? Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. What does like a normal See You at the Poll look like step by step throughout the day?
Yeah. So as you prepare for See You at the Poll, there's many different parts that you can add into it. And we have a See You at the Poll planner on our app, the Minnesota Youth Alive app, that you can download. That'll include all these pieces and elements and fill in the gaps for you, fill in the spaces. But a lot of people are going to want to come because they're going to be breakfast. I don't know about you, but like if people have food, I want to show up.
I'm there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you show up for? What's your breakfast food?
I don't eat breakfast, but
You don't eat
I would
breakfast?
I would go for breakfast burrito. That would be, which is
Ooh.
a pretty specific and hard thing to get, but I'd be there.
You really have that like picked out.
Yeah, breakfast burrito.
Okay, wow. Oh man, I would go for anything. I like donuts.
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 Yeah, those are good classic. Like people will be there.
Quick
People
Trip
show up.
donuts. Quick Trip donuts.
Quick
Glazed.
Trip donuts. Glazers.
Glazers.
Yeah.
I love glazers.
Yeah.
So I would say here, when you get started and you're doing a See You at the Pool, when people arrive, it's good to have food and it's good to have some music playing.
Yep.
And that can be like a Bluetooth speaker. If you have like a big speaker and a sound system, that's cool too. But it attracts people. It makes it feel less awkward, okay? Because we've all had the awkward See You at the Pool moments. So have some food, some drinks, some snacks, things like that. Have that music playing. And then when people get there, just say, hey, we're going to go ahead and get started. If you have the ability to do music in some format, whether that's a person playing a guitar, a ukulele, whether that's a person, you can have a, what do you call the box for the drums?
Cajon.
A cajon.
Yeah.
Okay, if you have a cajon, if you have a person on the keys, if you have absolutely nothing, you're like, I'm not musically talented.
Right.
I can't do anything. You can play music or you can just not do worship. You don't have to do worship, but that's a part that you can do. With that, I recommend you do songs that have very few words, right?
Yep.
Or print the words and hand them out.
Yep.
Because we've all been in there when someone's trying to do a new song and no one knows the words.
And you're all singing Watermelon instead of any words that actually make sense.
Is that what you do, is watermelon?
Yeah.
But after you do some worship, then you can there's lots of different things that you can do for prayer. You can break it down into small groups. You can do large group prayer. You can have people picked out to specifically pray for different topics. The planner we give you and the See You at the Pool flyer we have tells you topics that you can pray for. There's also the See You at the Pool website, which is a great resource that gives you all this information too. After you do some topical prayer time, then you can break down into small groups at that point if you haven't done it already, and then you can just dismiss. It's just good to give students some time in there to make sure that they get to class on time.
Yeah.
That's good.
What's a good length of time to do See at the Pool? Would you start at 6 a.m. and go till 8 or?
Okay, I'm going to ask you that question. What do
Yeah.
you think?
I-
You're 22.
Yeah. 22.
Recently 22, right? That's
Yeah.
what I said. Recently out of high school in the last 4 or 5 years. Okay. What do you think?
I would do like get there at 7:15 if school starts at 8:15 or something like that. Be there at 7:15 because then you might actually get the ball rolling by 7:25 or 7:30, and then you have a half hour for everything you need to do to get done.
That's good. Yeah, I would say 30 minutes. I mean, it doesn't have to be long. It really depends on how it goes. You know, if you have like 45 students showing up and it's an exciting event and things are going, like you just have a lot of things that can happen in that time. To split it up, your larger groups take longer to split up. So 30 to 45 minutes at the absolute most.
Right.
For some, if you're gathering like 3 to 5 people, you may be able to get all your See You at the Pool stuff in like 15 to 20 minutes. So it's not about how many people. It's not about the production you can put on. It's about doing it and stepping out.
Yeah. And I noticed when I did See You at the Pool that we would show up at like 7:15, start setting things up because we had a couple speakers and somebody playing guitar or something. But then people would see and then ask what's going on.
Yeah.
And then, well, if you stick around, we'll have donuts at the end and you can have some breakfast. So we'd get a lot of people just walking by that would stick around because they're interested because we were setting up early and they're earlier. So I think we get a bigger gap of people coming into the school as well.
I love that. And I love how you like hooked them with like donuts at the end.
Yeah, little bribe.
I had a student yesterday say something to me because I was like, how do you make something a success when you're doing it at school, like a campus club or See You at the Pool? And one student said this, don't make it awkward.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I think we as Christians sometimes think, oh my gosh, See You at the Pool is so weird and so awkward. And it really can be because you're stepping out in your faith. But like, what if we didn't make it awkward?
Right.
What if we just were like, well, hey, we're just gonna pray that people have a good year this year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and find like those leaders in your group and have them pray. You don't, like, you could leave an open mic and kind of say, like, hey, if you have a prayer, but definitely don't, like, put a mic in someone's face and say, hey, can you pray for this? And they're going to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, that would make somebody uncomfortable. So,
Yes, that's a good tip. I like that one.
yeah. So you said some people from Texas started See You at the Pole. Were they like Youth Alive people? How did that? Is See You at the Pole involved with Youth Alive? Is that the same?
Yeah. So that's a great question because Youth Alive is an organization that builds bridges between churches and schools. And so See You at the Pole wasn't started with Youth Alive, but any organization that builds bridges between churches and schools and helps reach the high school, middle school campus uses and does See You at the Pole. That's a part of their list of ways to make that connection. And so we do See You at the Pole. It's not just a Youth Alive event. It happens in all different areas. But one thing we love to do in Minnesota is we love to tell the stories of what's happening, of what students are doing. And so we've created on our Minnesota Youth Alive app. If you guys don't have it, download it, Minnesota Youth Alive app. And so it's a great resource with tons of stuff for you for See You at the Pole and campus clubs and all those things. But one thing you can do for See You at the Pole is you can report. And so you can say, hey, here's my name, here's the school, here's how many kids showed up. And then there's a spot for a little testimony or anything cool that happened. Because Youth Alive in Minnesota is all about telling people stories. We want people to know what students are doing and what's happening. And so if it's an epic fail and you just need to tell someone, this was a horrible morning and I need someone to lift me up and encourage me, hey, report that and we'd love to do that. If it was a great morning and you stepped out and you were the only one that showed up, tell us about it. If you had like 50 to 100 people show up, tell us about it. Whatever it looks like for you, we want to hear those stories. And that's how students get excited about this. Because we get to head to NYC, we had to camp, we had to call conference, all these different events, and we're constantly sharing stories about what students have done. And your story is going to encourage someone else next year to start and organize See You at the Pole at their school and make sure it happens. Yeah. Because I'm sure you weren't the first one to do See You at the Pole at your school, right?
Right.
So it's been going on for many, many years in Albany, right? You're an Albany boy?
Yep.
And so this year someone's doing See You at the Pole. Because you kept it going and you were organizing it and they heard someone's stories and said, hey, I can do that too. And so we would love to get your guys' stories. If you're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, hop on there, share it, tag us in it, and we'd love to be able to just, come alongside you and celebrate because it's a cool thing that's happening across the state. Are you a procrastinator at all?
I am, yeah.
Okay. So why do you procrastinate?
I procrastinate because I either have too much on my plate or I don't like the task that I have to do. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Those two things.
So I'm the same way. Like I love to get things done on time, but many times I procrastinate because I really don't want to do the project. And so sometimes, like if you're not an outgoing person, I just talked to a student this week and she said, I was going to do See You at the Pole last year, but I ended up not doing it because I had too much on my plate. And honestly, it was a huge stretch for me to lead and organize See You at the Pole because it's just not a normal part of my personality. And so I think that sometimes we can find ourselves like the week before the week of See You at the Pole and be like, oh, shoot, I did not get this put together this year. And I don't want you guys to give up. So one of the amazing things about YA One Day is that we are having a breakout session that has See You at the Pole in less than 60 hours. And so that's a great way for you if you're just sitting here and you're like, I've got to get this put together. You can totally get it put together in less than 60 hours. A really cool story we have is of a student, Evie, in Mankato, that she moved to a new school. She's homeschooled, but she did one Spanish class in Mankato at the high school. And so she said, hey, I'm trying to figure out if anyone is doing See You at the Pole. She reached out to FCA. She reached out to some friends, her youth pastor. No one knew of anyone organizing See You at the Pole. So Monday, the week of See You at the Pole, she finds this out and she says, we've got to put this together. So she reaches out to FCA. She reaches out to her youth pastor. They pull some things in to help her organize it. They get the music, the prayer piece set up. The FCA person promos it to everyone in the FCA and other youth groups. The youth pastor promoted it to the students and leaders, and it ended up being an awesome see you at the pole. And so I just want to encourage students, if you're a procrastinator, because we've all found ourselves in that spot, right? Trying to get things done last second. It can happen. It just takes that perseverance, and it takes that motivation and pulling in the right people to do that.
Yeah. What day is one day?
Why one day is happening September 25th? That's a good question because I didn't say that. September 25th. And see you at the pole is September 28th. So it's that Sunday right before the Wednesday. It's going to be an awesome time. We're going to have Reggie Dabs, which is, hitting just gold right there, right?
Yeah, right.
Reggie's amazing. He does an awesome job just inspiring people to do things to bring hope to other people. Yeah. And he's a school assembly speaker. People love Reggie. So he's going to be doing the 2 main sessions. Then we have 4 breakout sessions. Okay. One is a Youth Alive student leader panel. We're going to have students hop up and just, you can ask them questions. There's going to be some questions we're asking them. And then we're going to have one that's going to be the See You at the Pole in less than 60 hours. Mm-hmm. We have a campus club one. So how to do campus clubs creatively, because we've all had those moments where we've been at a part of a FCA or a Youth Alive or a Bible study where it's like, we need to switch things up. We need to do something different. Yep. And so we're going to have a camp breakout session that just says, how can we get creative with our campus clubs? And then the last one is school assemblies. And that's just going to be, how do we have a school assembly happen at our school? And you had one happen at your school, right?
Yep.
Okay, so tell us about that experience. Because you had Reggie, didn't you?
I've had Reggie and Eric.
You've had Reggie and Eric.
Yep.
Did it go well? Was it hard?
Yeah. The students, I remember when Reggie came, the students, we were talking about it for at least the next week. And then when Eric came, we had Yam House out. And so we had the band and we had painter. And it was the whole school in our gym. It was really cool.
Anyone can come. It's $20. If you're part of a youth group, there's like a $200 flat fee, and as many people as can come. You can load up a car as students and just come yourselves too. If you don't have a youth pastor or a youth group that you attend, come and join us. We're looking to have like 400 students. So it's going to be an awesome time of worship and just getting excited about what God is calling us to do this next school year.
At the Waters Church.
Yeah.
Sweet. So we got some speaker questions.
Okay.
Really quick. How many kids do you have, and are you going to have any more? Do you plan on having any more?
Okay, I have 4. I have 4 boys, and Reed, Micah, Everett, and Tripp, 9, 6, 2, and 4 months. Yep.
4 months.
Yeah, they're all keeping me very busy. Do I plan to have more? I don't plan to have more, but I didn't plan to have more
this last
time either. Nice. So we'll see. My husband really doesn't plan to have any more.
Yeah. What do you guys do for fun? If you had a week of nothing to do, what would you do?
With my kids or without my kids?
With your whole family.
Oh, man. With my whole family. Okay, movie nights, because we love movie nights.
Yep.
So that would be a big part. We love hiking and being outdoors. So honestly, our kids would love to go just like wander through the woods and things like that. So that's something we've kind of started doing recently. So we hike our little ones on our backs, put them on our backs. But honestly, we really love the lake, love fishing, love being outside, tubing, anything
lake
you
life.
can do. Lake life is
life.
It's good.
What about if you had a Sabbath day to yourself, just you?
Me?
Nothing, no plans. What would you do?
Okay, give me a couple seconds to think. Okay, I would sleep in.
That's good.
I would get a massage, and I'd get my nails done. I could spend any money I want, right? I don't have a budget.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I would go out to eat with a bunch of friends, and then I would stay up really late watching chick flicks.
Nice. Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Last question.
That's such a girl answer, isn't
Classic, yep. What is your...
I should have put prayer and do devotions in there too somewhere.
That would be right at 6 a.m. Because that would be you sleeping in, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
So what is your favorite movie genre? That's the last question.
My movie genre?
Yeah.
Comedy and what do you call rom-coms?
That's what, yeah, okay.
So I don't like movies without happy endings.
Matthew McConaughey is a big favorite. Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah, they're fun ones. Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to our Youth Alive podcast. We'll be back again next month for an October edition. We'll see you guys at One Day.
And NYC.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Minnesota Youth Alive podcast. Remember, you can download the Minnesota Youth Alive app and check us out on Instagram and Facebook for updates and information.